out. So lower portion of the door was hit and created a little bitty dent right there on the body line at the bottom of the door. So it's not really a bad dent. I think I charged this customer $300 and some change. I don't really remember the exact price. And there's a dent above the door right there. Yeah, I repaired that one for him as a courtesy. And the reason why I did that, just to make the guy happy. He was military, and sometimes I do things like that for military. So I think it was about $350 total repairing that dent, and I just roughed out the top dent. Didn't make it perfect. So here's the after shot. I mean, it looks pretty good. I think I spent 3 hours total on this repair. I arrived at 9 o'clock and I left at 12:05. So 3 hours total at the location of the repair. As you can tell, it looks pretty daggone good, and it's beautiful, quite nice. Yes, the top repair looked good. It wasn't great. I just roughed it out, made it look better for the customer. There was no expectations for perfect by any means because it was free. So there's a before shot, there's an after shot. Just remember, all repairs do not have to be perfect. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you have any questions, let me know and I will respond. Let's get straight into it. So first thing is first, we remove the interior trim panel. Here is a hook tool, 90 degree. Toyotas are some of the easiest vehicles to do R&I on. Super simple. I think it's 3 bolts, 2 are hidden. They're all screws, super easy. And then you have the door latch, and then you take off the dust barrier here. And it's pretty simple. Just take your time. You can use a razor blade to peel it off even better if you'd like. So here's the access locations we have. There's the intrusion beam right there where you saw the sharp dent in the middle of the door, the horizontal crease. And I took off that absorber piece right there so I can get better access to that dent. Whatever hit it, it caused that crease right there on that intrusion beam. And those, I hate doing dents like these. These are always pretty difficult because the crease it's really sharp, like a folded piece of paper. It's just, that one's just tough. You can't get out. I mean, you can, but I didn't have all day to spend, and it was a free repair. You can see very limited access right there. So I had to take off that black part right there at the bottom, and then the this part. So I'm just shining a flashlight in there, kind of showing you all the access points you can have in the future if you ever work on a Toyota. And it's pretty wide open once you take it apart, which I like about that, except for the top part of the door right below the belt molding. Very limited access, and makes it difficult for dents up there, but you can still get access in there with a tool. So everywhere on these doors you can get access with a tool on. Here's this little black part. I don't even know what it's called, but I took it out and I was able to put my tool in there, my A1 double bend tool. And I used some blocks of wood that I cut up. I have quite a few different sizes and lengths. And I used that to push right there on the body line. And I was able to push a whole ton of that damage out at once just by placing that block right there on the body line and pushing it. Oh, so somebody left a courtesy access hole for me, so that was great. I don't know what that was all about, but I used it to help me get some of this repair out at the top quite nicely. So it's kind of fortunate there on that part. And honestly, it made it easier for me going through that hole. So when you're putting the door back together, before you shut the door, you're going to want to roll the window down and check to make sure the window rolls up and down. You're going to check to make sure the locks work. And you're going to make sure the door handles work. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, since we disconnected the window regulator switch, we're going to test it to make sure it works. Goes all the way down. And it goes all the way up. Now, if it's an automatic and you just click it once, you want to make sure it goes all the way up. And then you want to make sure it goes all the way down. And if it doesn't go all the way up, all the way down, hold it down all the way for 5 seconds. And then it should automatically go up automatically once you click it. But this isn't automatic. That's just a tip. Next, you're going to test this. Okay, that's working. So you know this is working since you can tell you another tip. So unlock it, make sure it's not child lock. So it opens from the inside. So it's not child lock because it's up. Down is child lock. So shut the latch. I'm gonna come over here and open it. But when I open it, that should unlock. Okay, so you know this is working. Now, same thing on the outside. If you disconnect the outside handle, check it. Okay. Oh, we gotta. Okay. Gonna open it from the out. Okay, it works. Everything works. And then you can bolt it back together and you know you're good. Okay, so these clips here, you want to make sure that all the clips are back on the interior trim panel before you snap it back in place. Otherwise, you're going to have a hell of a time and it's not going to fit properly. And you're just going to make yourself upset. Damage before we attempted to repair it after we pushed the majority of it out with that block, that wooden block. It's really not that bad. It was actually a really simple repair in my opinion. The most difficult part about it, or time consuming, was the lower crown right below the body line right there. I mean, that I just had to knock it down and it took the most time just hitting that and knocking it back down until it was straight again. But this giant crown here, that pretty much came out as we pushed the body line and those low spots at the bottom, and we were able to release the pressure on the crown and it just kind of brought that top section up. So we left that alone until the end and just cleaned it up after that. So right here it pretty much sucks because my head was in the way most of the time, but as you know, we always use a torch to heat it up and move a lot of metal. Yeah, so this is a pretty boring section. If you want to skip it, go for it. It's not much here. You really can't see anything. I thought you could, but it's always important to check for your interior trim panel clips and make sure those are back on the interior trim panel before you put the panel back on the car. Same thing goes with bumpers, tail lights. They always have these little black grommets that go over top of the bolt, and that keeps it from water leaking into the vehicle. So whenever you see that on tabs or anything, make sure you put it back on the bolt or the tab. So that way you don't have to worry about water leaking into the vehicle or dust or any other kind of debris. That's what they're for. So that's one thing. And the thing about locking the window or rolling the windows up and down, making sure the door handles and all that works, you do that on every single vehicle you take apart. And you always want to make sure the windows roll down before you shut it, because if it's locked and none of the doors handles are working properly and you can't get in the car, you're screwed. I mean, you're going to be screwed. So this is a after about an hour's worth of work, this is a cross check looking down from the top of the door to the bottom of the door. So you can see a whole lot more work when you cross check, and that's why it's very important to cross check. And this is what it looks like 1 hour after the repair with no lights on it or anything. This is what the customer is going to see. Natural daylight. And as you can tell, it's not really that bad. It's not. It'll pass in a wholesale for sure if you're doing dealership work or rock lots. This will pass all day long for 1 hour's worth of work, and that includes removing the interior trim panel. So sometimes you don't have to make stuff perfect if you don't want to, because the customer may not want to pay for perfection, and you can build a repair plan based on the customer's expectations for the repair and their budget. You know, that's the thing. You want to fit the customer's needs. So here it is with the light on it. You can see we still have a lot of work to go for a perfect repair, and we spent another 2 hours on this to get it pretty close to perfect. It wasn't 100%. They didn't pay for 100% repair, otherwise it probably would have been more like $800 or $900 instead of the $300 or so we charged. So you do the repair based on their budget and their expectations. That's how I operate my business, and just a helpful guide for you guys out there. You don't have to spend 8 hours on a repair for a couple $100. You know, fit the customer's expectations. You can see that crease right there. It needs a lot of work. A lot of work. And here's a custom tool I'm building. It's a mobile glue pulling tower. It's like a little frame machine for glue pulling large dents, similar to that one I did on the F-150. If you haven't watched that video, check it out. F-150 bedside time-lapse video. I built this tool because of that. I wanted to be able to have vertical, horizontal pulls, multiple angles, multiple pulls going out at once. So this is a prototype, just kind of a thing. Thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't, always